Learn to dehydrate without a dehydrator. So today I'm going to show you a simple way to dehydrate your herbs without a dehydrator. So I'm going to show you some of the herbs that I have in my herb garden here, and then I'll show you the simple way to do that. So I've actually got a lot of herbs growing on the side of my house, and then in my garden I've got some chives, but this is some beautiful rosemary. I'm going to be cutting some of that. I've got some oregano down here. It's kind of all mixed in with the leaves, but it's looking really beautiful. I've got quite a bit of thyme, and then I've got some Italian parsley. And then I've also got some mint. I've got a couple different kinds. I've got a spearmint and a regular mint. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting some of these, and I'll just show you how I do it. So there's really a lot of ways that we can dehydrate without a dehydrator. Today what I'm going to show you is how we can dehydrate in the oven. It's a really simple process. But there's a lot of ways to dehydrate. You can also cut your herbs like I'm doing right now. And I've put rubber bands around them and put them in brown paper bags and just hung them in different areas of my garage or, under my patio cover. And those will dehydrate in usually 3 or 4 days. You can also lay them out on trays in the sun. That's usually going to take a couple of days. I think dehydrating them without a dehydrator in the oven is probably going to be your fastest process. You're usually only going to have to have them in the oven for a couple of hours. Sometimes, depending on if it's a really thin leaf like this Italian parsley or this mint or any of this, it actually can be a lot faster. You can dehydrate in anywhere from an hour to maybe an hour and a half. So I'm dehydrating several different things. I'm doing a rosemary, Italian parsley, some oregano, and some thyme. So there's a lot of different textures to my to my herbs. But I really wanted to be able to put these together, dehydrate them in the oven, and then mix them up together and use them in my cooking. So as you see, I've got this really nice little shady area that I grow herbs, and I really don't have to do much of anything. I've got one underground line that just kind of runs underneath the herbs that I have buried in the dirt. It's just a drip line, and then I've got bark and herbs, and I've got a few roses over on the other side. But this is just a really nice area that I can grow all kinds of herbs. This last year I actually grew a couple different kinds of mint. I've got a spearmint and a peppermint. So I picked a couple of those, just a few, to make my teas. But you can see the quantity that I have of these herbs. It's a lot. I actually have quite a few, and after you're done dehydrating, it really doesn't make too much. So here I'm just cutting a few pieces of rosemary. And I was just going to share with you, since we are talking about the herbs, one of the things you can also do with rosemary, because it's got those nice hard stems, is that once you take the little pieces of, I guess they'd be leaves, but you take those little things off. In my case, they're dehydrated. You can actually use those as skewers to maybe soak them and put your chicken or beef or whatever you have, vegetables, and put them on the barbecue. And they come out really, really nice. They give it just the right amount of rosemary flavor. So anyway, you can see this big basket I've got here of herbs, and we're going to go ahead and get those ready for dehydrating without a dehydrator. Now, because these herbs have been outside growing, I'm going to go ahead and wash them all and make sure that I get any leaves and any of that off of them that I can. So I've got all my herbs soaking in the water. It does look like there is some dirt and different things coming off of them. So all I'm gonna do is just give them a quick rinse, and then I'm gonna just let them dry. There's quite a few little leaves in here. We've had quite a bit of wind the last couple of days. Crazy. And so, anyway, I wish you could smell this kitchen. It just smells unbelievable with all these herbs. So I think what I'm gonna do is kind of my own herb de Provence. And I'm gonna put all these herbs together after I dry them and make a little medley of different things that I can put on, different kinds of seasonings that need herbs. And then I will just separate the mint out. And anyway, you can see how dirty this water is. Look at that. So you should always wash your herbs. I do hear people online occasionally say that, I don't really wash them. I just kind of, rinse them off. Well, there's a lot of dirt, and actually there are some small bugs in there. So always make sure to wash your fruits and vegetables. A lot of that dirt is hidden. The next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm just going to cut all of the leaves off of the stems, and then I'm gonna put these on trays. And then that way, when they're dehydrated, you'll just be dehydrating the leaves and not all of the stems. So you're gonna leave these stems behind, and you're gonna take these leaves and dehydrate them. And actually, just like that. So I'm gonna work on this for a little bit, and then I'll get back to you. So I've got the oven set at 195 degrees. I'm going to try to cook this for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. I've got some oregano, some thyme, and some Italian parsley, all working on both of those. So we'll check back in a little bit. So the rest of my herbs are all done baking in the oven. They took about 2 hours, 1.5 to 2 hours at 195 degrees. And I'm gonna show you what they look like. If you look at them, they're completely dry. So what I do, the next step, is I just take a trash bag, and I take all of the, put it up here so you can see, I take the green piece of the herbs and I just put it in a bag, and then I put the stems in a separate bag. And I do that to all of these until, I just have a bag of stems and a bag of herbs. And let me get done doing this, and then I'll show you the next step. So when you're all done separating the green part of the herbs from the stems, you're going to end up with a bag of stems, which you'll just throw away. And then you'll take your leaves, and basically they're so dry, all you have to do is crush them. And then you end up with this really wonderful herb mixture that you can use when you're cooking. So I had one little pan of herbs. I had rosemary, Italian parsley, and thyme. And then I also had a little bit of, this is just a little bit of mint. I didn't pick much of that, but as you can see, I have a little bit for tea. I'm not gonna break these up as much. These are actually really good to put in tea. I have a couple holders for loose leaf tea. But what I do is I save containers. This was a gum container. I've got prescription containers of all different sizes. I clean those out and let them dry. And then I have things to put my herbs in, and I can give these away as gifts, all kinds of things. So one last step that you can do that just makes it really nice if you don't want a real thick herb. I actually have 2 coffee grinders. One I use for my herbs and the other one I use for my coffee. So all you're gonna do is put a little bit of your herbs into the coffee grinder, like so. And I don't do these very long, I just do them for a couple seconds. Just a couple pulses, and you're gonna see you have some really nice you have some really nice herbs. So let me show you how these are put into the little containers, and that'll be my last step. So out of that group of herbs, we got 1 container of ground herbs, and I also got another one for a friend. And I also have some dehydrated mint for my tea. Having some nice fresh things that you can cook with. So thanks again for joining me. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thank you so much.